Oh.
Hello, everybody out there, and welcome to the second official SWBL Division podcast. We're here to break down the Cardinal Blinds Division, which features the Yankees, Brewers, and Expos. And what better way to do that than with players on each of those three teams? Cardinal Blinds is a great sponsor. They say blinds are meant to keep the light out, but you can't keep the light out of this division. We've got two of them. We've got John Leicht of the Expos, Peter Leicht of the Brewers. We've got the Bash Brothers. We've got Town. We've got a action-packed division here. Looking forward to season 18. Potentially 4th of July coming up. So let's do some introductions here. We'll start with who else but the defending champs, the Yankees. A team with a 600 win percentage in the franchise era, 5 playoff appearances, 2 division titles, and of course the reigning champs led by Captain Scott Poley, 13-year veteran of the league, third all-time in franchise era home runs, and was an all-star and a right field Gold Hands Award winner the past 2 seasons. Scott, how you doing today?
Pete, I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
You bet. And I figured we'd invite your fellow Bash brother, Sam Bakula, a 12-year veteran of the league.
Let's go, Sam.
Actually 4th on the franchise era home run list, and he was an all-star each of the past 2 seasons. Sam, how you doing tonight?
You know what? I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited to talk wiffle ball. Can't wait to get into it with you guys. Thanks for having me on, Pete.
No problem. Happy to have you here. Let's jump down to the next team in this division, the Expos. They've been around for 5 years, sporting a 160 win percentage. No playoff appearances yet, but a lot of people say that the franchise's success isn't measured in hardware, but it's really measured in empty Natter Day cans. We've got Kevin Weetucker, team captain, 13-year veteran of the league, one of the original founders, and whose popularity is rising lately in terms of being a Hall of Fame nominee. Kevin, how's it going?
Hey. It's good to see everybody. Glad to be here. I think this is the Expos year. We got a tough division to definitely battle in, but we look forward to taking down this division.
Come here. I love the confidence, and we might as well have the Expos right-hand man, John Leicht, here as well. 9-year veteran of the league, including his first 2 years in 03 and 04. Former home run derby champ and comeback player of the year. John, how we doing?
Pete, I'm great. Thanks for having me. I want to get one thing out there early. This is the toughest division in the SWBL. And the World Cup, they call it the Group of Death. That is what we have here. I know that you did a podcast a couple weeks ago with the A's and the Rockies and the Astros, and they said their division was the toughest. We all know they didn't really mean it.
No.
This is a media thing, so they were talking it up. But there's no way they believe that this is it.
I hear you, and that's going to be a common theme, I think, through our conversation tonight.
Hey, Pete.
Hopefully, we'll welcome the Brewers. Patrick Getty was originally scheduled to be here, had to bail at the last minute, so we've invited Peter Leicht, the team captain. Some would say he peaked in 2015, but I would say, hey, man, come on now. The Brewers are sporting a 650 win percentage, 6 playoff appearances, 1 division title, 0 championships, but 4 franchise of the years.
Oh, yeah.
Peter, how you doing tonight? Thanks, man. Appreciate you having me. I know you've been doing these podcasts a couple times, and it's really nice to finally get the invite. So appreciate it. Understood. Glad to have you. And guys, we might as well go jump in with the elephant in the room. The breaking news the past few days was kind of a change in the setting for our season 18, being pushed from Memorial Day to 4th of July due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the the uncertainty, the limitations on public gatherings and things like that. So we're going to hope that by the time the 4th of July rolls around, we are more equipped to have the weekend and do it right. So really curious to speak to each of your teams. How does the change from Memorial Day to 4th of July and potentially the change from 4th of July to Labor Day, how does that impact your team or yourself personally? We'll start with the Expos.
Shut up.
Expos, you're up.
Expos.
What do you say, Kevin?
I mean, it's
Yeah, Kevin. We got.
it's gonna be a little tough for the Expos. We still got Eggerstrom living out of town, so he's not sure if he can make it in for any of the Friday games. I know for sure myself, I won't be able to play any games on Friday because I'm gonna have to be out working, selling beer to all the stores.
Thank you for being an essential worker, by the way.
Yeah, I'm an essential worker. Nobody appreciates that.
I appreciate that.
Well, good to hear. And how about for the Yankees? What's the deal there?
Hey, hold on real quick. I got to ask a question for John. John, you are famous for wearing sweatpants during some of the hottest months of the year playing wiffle ball. Do we expect to see the same pair of sweatpants for 4th of July, even though we've switched schedules?
Yeah, you're gonna have to see him. Keeps the legs loose, and they'll be around.
Nice.
Good to know.
All right, so I guess if we're moving on to the question, I'll tackle it because I live the farthest away on my team. I recently moved out to Los Angeles to attend business school for some reason, and that makes it ultimately harder for wiffle ball. Obviously, I'll move heaven and earth to get there, but I personally was a little disappointed. I think that calling a July weekend, it's a little still up in the air. I think we can all agree on that. We don't really know how much this thing is going to subside over the next 2 months. I think it would have been better just to call it Labor Day weekend, which we would have been reasonably certain would be the weekend. Granted, there's problems there with its proximity to next year's weekend, so that's kind of tough. But I'm just worried they're going to have to kick it out again. And just I'll be fine either weekend. I think most of the Yankees will. I'm just worried about the whole league switching it once and then switching it again. What do you guys think about that?
That's a fair point. I think, by the first week of June at the latest, I think that additional decision would have to come in to push it to Labor Day. I think you could assume that if you're a pessimist, you probably think that this whole situation is still going to be going on in July. But maybe you think there's going to be a second wave at the end of the year near Labor Day. So we're really trying to get it in, I think, as early as we can when it's reasonable. And maybe a team is really excited about 4th of July, and then one team is not, and then it totally flips. So it kind of seems somewhat neutral, I guess, in that regard.
Yeah, I know when the front office was looking at it, the 4th of July weekend was the least amount of conflicts, and Labor Day is there's a lot of conflicts, so that's definitely why it's a backup. But I agree with you, Sam.
I hope we can get it in on the 4th then, definitely, if that's the case with the conflicts.
Yeah.
Right. And for speaking for the Brewers, I'd like to think that we are the least.
Hold on, you gotta flip your hat backwards.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Yeah, man. I think that the Brewers are probably the least impacted team. We're all local. We all, dare I say, have our priorities straight. I mean, when you sign a contract with the Brewers, you have to be available from March through October, just in case. So we're looking good. We might miss Derek Cornell for a game or two, which cuts me deep because I like to see him play. But we'll make it work.
Season last year, he was a great ad.
He did. He did. Appreciate the insight, fellas. And now we're going to jump into our next topic, offensive questions. The SWBL has always been an offensive league, both locally and nationally. Seems like hitting, can trump pitching in those big games. So we're going to talk about some offensive questions. They may get under your skin, but that's what the people want to hear about. We'll start with the Yankees. It's been reported through multiple outlets that, in the franchise era, the Yankees have gone 5-5 every other year. Granted, those every other years where they're not 5-5 are very successful, but it's an interesting trend with at least 7 years of data behind it. So, question for the Yankees: what explanation do you have for your 5-5 record every other year?
It's interesting, and I'll let Scott comment on this, but I think the Yankees, when the Yankees are clicking all at once, I think since 2011, it's hard to say that there's a better offense out there, but our issues historically have been people getting hot at different times. And then every once in a while, those will come against, like, our Saturday problem, Scott, is usually, and that on those years when we went 5-5, it was because we all slumped on Saturday at the same time, and we just got wiped out on Saturday. And then we're digging out of a hole and we come up short at the end of the season. The other times, we're bouncing off of each other, we're picking each other up. Maybe we do 2-2 on Saturday, then we end up 7-3. It's as long as we don't slump at the same time, then I think we end up okay. Scott, what do you think?
Our Saturday woes, man, were killer, especially early on. That we would lose every game on Saturday and then have to win most of the games. This was early on too, so usually Sunday was harder because it was the older division. This was back when American National League, and we have to try and win all those games just to hope for a playoff spot. So I agree with Sam. It just, for some reason, we'd get really hyped for the opener, and then we would just crash on Saturday and then go, oh crap, and try to come back. So if we can be somewhat consistent on Saturdays, we have a pretty good shot of trying to make a playoff run.
Yeah, I think coming off of the defending championship, I can't expect you guys to finish 5-5. I think this is probably the year you're going to break the cycle. And since you guys are the champs, I'm going to throw in a bonus question. I would just like to know, where is Jackson Crossley, and what do you think he's doing right now?
Jackson hasn't commented on our Yankees group text in I don't know how long. But here's the deal. Here's the deal with Jackson. When we re-signed Jackson a couple of years ago, because it was a big deal, was he going to come back to the Yanks or was he not? We gave Jackson what we would, if you watch the Michael Jordan documentary on ESPN, and if you watch the Dennis Rodman episode, and they gave Dennis Rodman a break mid-season that was supposed to be 48 hours, but it turned into a few days. And then Michael Jordan had to go find him and pull him out and say, yo, let's get back to practice. We said to Jackson, you can do whatever you want all year long. But when it's wiffle ball, we got to either contact you or your parents or your agent, whatever it is. We got to know how to find you. And me and Sam are going to go get you.
He's in Vegas right now?
Yeah.
Could be in Vegas. Who knows?
Honestly, the last time I saw him was the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, and he was on another planet. So I haven't seen him since then. I hope he's okay. Jackson, if you're out there, I'll see you at wiffle ball, man.
We love you, Jack.
We love you.
Yeah, and I know Jackson. He likes to have a good time. I had a group me message from him a couple months ago when fantasy wiffle ball was getting kicked off. He said he had some friends that were interested in throwing some money in the pot. So I think we can learn back in that way. Let's jump over to the Expos. The Expos are, seemingly known for being a tier 3 team, for kind of being a team historically that other teams maybe didn't take as seriously. But we've seen it change the past couple of years, and we certainly are going to see it change some more this year with the roster makeup they have. So, question for you, Kevin, and the Expos is, do you think the Expos will ever make the playoffs?
No, that's the
upstairs door over there.
I think we're gonna make the playoffs. Definitely with the acquisition of Brett this year, we make our team definitely playoff, potential. But at the same time, we're definitely in the toughest division in what I feel like this league has ever been in. I don't know what that other division is talking about with the D-backs and whatever the Royals. Like those teams aren't tough. Like this is the toughest division for sure. So the only way I see it is like we have two of the top pitchers probably in the league with Brett and Jimmy. And as long as we can, overcome everything with that, then we have a good shot at making the playoffs this year.
Right. I think that this division is the toughest. I think when you talk, Yankees, I believe are, front office ranked number one. I'd say the Yankees are unanimously the top tier one team, no question. And then, especially with the Rockies losing Brett. And then you jump down to tier three, and I think it's Expos by a mile due to the pitching strength. Definitely gets hazy in Group 2 when you have the Twins and the Brewers. But, I'm a little high on the Brewers. The Brewers did beat the Twins and Royals last year. So I think they collectively, when you look at the star power, which we'll talk about later in the fantasy section, definitely an all-star type division.
I mean, I just know that I have never been able to hit against Brett, and I don't know if anybody else has, but now that he's on the Expos, I think that's gonna add some dominance to our rotation, especially with Jimmy at the same time, because I know a lot of people can't hit against Jimmy.
That is true. So we'll jump to our last team, the Brewers. Have ever since the franchise era started and we've been doing the 3-tier system, the Brewers have been a tier 2 team. Never made the leap to tier 1, but fortunately never fell down to tier 3. So question to you, Peter, good looking guy. Are the Brewers ever going to finish as a tier 1 team? Yeah, thanks for the question. I would have to say yes to this question. I think at some point we are going to make it work. I think, like Sam mentioned earlier, we get hot at times, but we get cold at times. I think I could see the Rockies kind of falling down to tier 2, and maybe us trying to climb a way up. So I'm going to say yes, most definitely, sir. Thank you, Peter. Let me jump into. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to make a bold statement, and I would just like to know what you guys think of it. Feel free to agree or disagree. This is a safe space, by the way. I would just like to say that regarding this division, Yankees, Expos, Brewers, we touched on it a little, but I think this division has the best overall pitching, hands down, and includes the top 3 pitching rotations in the league. Does anybody, let's start with the Yankees potentially. Do you see any problems with that comment? Is there any other teams that you would sub in or out of that equation?
I think, Pete, that's a pretty solid prediction. When I look at the other teams, I like how you said rotation. That includes the people that are going to be on the mound. And when you just hear grumblings around the league, the Twins, have a solid 2-man rotation with Spencer and Will. But we're not sure where Will is going to be at, in July, with his athletic training profession. So I've been hearing grumblings of Edlow coming back. No disrespect, Edlow, but you just haven't had the mound in a while. Chris, obviously the tandem of the Skibby brothers may be the top echelon of that, but then after that, it just kind of drops off. So I would agree with you. I would say that with the 2 pitchers on each team, probably a solid prediction.
I just think there's a lot of underrated pitching talent in this division. I think it's crazy how Jimmy Nelson isn't recognized as a top-tier pitcher. I think it's crazy how Kyle Cornell isn't recognized as a top-tier pitcher. And even Scott last year with your knuckleball, you and Jimmy just having both of those knuckleballs in this division. I mean, you're going to see some weak stats coming out of this division because of how tough the pitching is, I think.
Well, and Brett's on our team now too.
Exactly. I mean, everyone knows he's a tough to hit.
So Kevin and then the Expos, any general disagreements with the bold statement there?
No, I mean I definitely agree that this is the toughest division, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play in this division, but it's also at the same time going to be pretty tough.
Agreed. And Brewers, Peter, what do you think? Thanks. Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to agree. I mean, I kind of wrote this, and I wrote that it was a bold statement. But I think that let's talk Expos. When you got Brett and Jimmy, hands down, probably my favorite pitching rotation. Yankees with Jackson and then Scott. I mean, that is another top tandem of the top two pitchers. So that's no question. It again, like my earlier comment, it gets a little hazy with the Brewers. You don't want to disrespect the Royals and the Skibbies. And if I thought Will Rath was going to show up, I may not have made this bold statement. However, the Brewers have been top 3 in runs against each year, the first pitch strike era. And their forecasted rotation, which would be Kyle, Jim Stout, and PG, has a 3.61 ERA in the franchise era, which is the lowest of all teams. You got the Expos coming in at just below 5 second, and then you got the Yankees at a 5.5. So while we did lose David Olderman, and you can't, downplay that, I'm hoping it's a breakout party for Kyle. Hopefully we get Jimmy back this year, who didn't play last year. And PG pretty much dominated the Royals last year, relatively out of nowhere. So
PG's got good stuff.
Good. And let's go to our next. Oh, sorry, I forgot to switch hats. Let's go to our next segment here. We're going to talk about a new game that we're trying to start up, fantasy wiffle ball. First of all, things are going to change. Player values are going to change with the new announcement of 4th of July. We'll take a look at player values and things, but we're asking players to pick 3 hitters, 2 pitchers, and a fielder to make your ultimate roster of 6 players using your $20 budget. Player values vary from 50 cents to $5. So, keeping the answers within this division, I'd like to kind of go around the horn here and talk about who do you think is, the best hitter in the division amongst the Yankees, Expos, and Brewers. A lot of, solid choices. But let's start with the Yankees and Scott, maybe. Who would you say is your best hitter in this division?
I think that the best hitter in the division. I'm gonna have to go with my man Slammin' Sammy, 4th in home runs. And here's why I like Sam, is because last year Sam was clutch, man. A lot of at bats, Sam was clutch. Hitters I don't like when they step up to the plate. I don't like when Jimmy Nelson steps up to the plate. I don't like when Brett steps up to the plate. I don't like when Peter steps up to the plate. I don't like when PG steps up to the plate. But I may be a little biased in these questions with my teammates. I'm going to choose Sam.
Sam, do you want to weigh in on this one?
I'll say something, and I don't want it to be like a Yankee love fest. And I'm not going to say Scott here or myself either. But I do want to – I'm looking at the stats right now, and this is something a lot of people don't realize. 5 players last year who had over 40 at-bats batted over 600. You got Gus, Blake, Spencer Bogat, and John Callaway. So I think that people don't understand how good John actually is. He's had his ups and downs, but looking just at last season, 13 home runs as a lefty is huge. And a 6.15 average in a lineup where all I can do is hit home runs. I can't get on base. He's doing his job. I think he's an undervalued fantasy pick. Scott, you can hit home runs and hit for average.
No, sorry. I made that reaction because I can finally see John now. He just appeared.
Oh, John Leicht. Yeah, John Leicht, and he's drinking a beer.
Freaking awesome, John. It's good to see you, man.
It's a good answer. Some Yankee love there. So let's jump to the Expos. Kevin, do you want to, or I guess we'll start with John Leicht on this one.
Yeah, John's jumping in on this one.
Yeah, best hitter in the division. I hate to continue the Yankees circle jerk, but I'd throw Scott in there, and then also Peter. I think those two are pretty much, I'd say, neck and neck for best hitters in the division. Year in, year out, over the last 5 years, last year, 2 years ago, very consistently.
Well, thanks, John. That's the nicest thing you've said about me in a long time. I agree. I'm 100%. This question is easy for me. It's actually my slam dunk pick of the night, and I think it's Scott Poley without a doubt. If you'd asked me a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I might have thrown my hat in the ring. But Scott, a guy you don't want to face, and he's going to, no matter, he crowds a plate. You can't even throw inside on the guy. Even if you try to throw it at his left nipple, he's going to turn on it and it's going to hit the foul pole over the fence. So that's a challenge, but definitely Scott Poley is my answer for sure. So let's jump to the pitching side. As we've talked about, bunch of dominant pitchers in this division. But if you had to pick one, who would you say is the best? And let's kick it back to the Yankees to start this one off.
Sam, you want to start this one?
There's no question. I cannot hit Brett. Brett is the best pitcher in the league, in my opinion. He always has been. And I think this year, given that he's getting a fresh start on the Expos, he's joining that Expo culture where they're all very determined to make the playoffs. He's going to mesh right in. They like to drink. He likes to drink. It's a great fit. I think Brett's going to go off this year. And I'm a little scared. Get out the ray gun. He's going to be fired.
That could have been one of the offensive questions is how mad he would have gotten if we pull out the gun against him. I would say I love when I'm pitching against Brett, I feel like we got this competitive camaraderie. Jackson, I love Jack, so I won't continue the Yankees trend here, even though if I had to pick a pitcher, I'd pick Jack any day. Jimmy Nelson last year, if you look at our first game, Jimmy caused us some fits. And if you think about
where it came from.
Yeah, if you think about now they have Brett as another hitter, as another threat. I think that game was 2-1 or 3-1 or 4-2 or something like that, which I am predicting probably a lot of our games are going to be low scoring. Maybe they win that game. So I would say, Jimmy Nelson is going to be a threat this year for sure.
Certainly. And how about John Leicht on the Expos?
So impossible question to answer who is the best. So I'll answer it this way. In full disclosure, I've never had to face Jimmy head to head, but if I was up in the bottom of a tied inning championship game, nobody out, bases loaded. So all I have to do is make contact and we're going to conceivably win the game. And there's one person I do not want to face, it's definitely Jackson Crosley. He's given me the hardest time over the last 3 years. I hate to admit it, the dude lives inside my head on Memorial Day weekend, and I'm just trying to take up space back in his head. So my answer is Crosley for sure.
Agreed. And if I put my Brewer cap on and answer this one, it's tough. We've talked about these top three guys who I think, hands down, the three best pitchers in this division. The Yankees don't really have to face Jackson. Expos don't really have to face Jimmy or won't face Brett this year. For me, it's a literal toss-up, but I'll probably say Brett just because I've played against him so many times and always seems to give trouble our way. And you don't want to piss him off too much because you're like, hey, Brett, I love you, man. Like, we're friends, but like, I don't want us to fight about this. I don't want to pull the gun out because I don't want you to be mad at me. I just think that we should all hold hands and be okay. But I don't know. I mean, I'll probably just have Kyle Cornell pull the gun out on him if I need to. That way, I don't have to do it.
Oh gosh.
But then you got the gun on Kyle too, so that's like, oh, that's not good either. So yeah, that's tough. I'm a little confused, but you'll see. So let's go ahead and do the third dimension here. Let's talk fielding. There's some pretty good left fielders, some pretty good right fielders, and obviously pitchers field the position as well. But if we're talking fielding, maybe we'll start with the Expos on this one. Who would you say is the best fielder in the division? Let's hear from the Expos.
The Expos don't really care about fielding. We're all about hitting dingers and stellar pitching. So, if John wants to comment on this, he can, but nobody really gives a shit. Give it to Meta or whatever.
All right, let's.
No, I'm with Kevin. Next.
Good deal. How about the Yankees?
Sam, what do you think?
I don't know. I think John Callaway has improved a lot over the years out there in left field. The Yankees' ultimate Achilles tendon was fielding for so long. John stepped up, but I don't think he's as good as Pete. I think Pete is the best left fielder out there for this division. He's got those quick feet, knows how to play the field because he's been out there so long, knows where it bounces. I think that's my answer.
John, we love you, but I agree. I think Pete, you have some crazy athletic moves out there that go under the radar throughout the weekend. So I'd probably give it to Pete as well.
Well, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, I
No one's called Pete crazy athletic in years, so he appreciates that.
He's blushing.
This is great. I'm definitely jumping to left field. I think it's a tougher position, and it's definitely I was going to go with John Callaway. I think John and I are very similar at the plate as well. But I think John, leading maybe not leading the Yankees, but leading the Yankees in left field, getting them to a championship, playing through those pressure situations, something that the Brewers haven't done. And I think he's going to own. I think he's going to own the position long term. So I'm going to go with Johnny Callaway for sure. Thanks for that, guys. And let's go ahead and jump into our next segment, talking about individual awards. And I think, with our years in the league, we're all familiar with the big four awards that are handed out each year. MVP, Cy Wiffle, Platinum Hand, Rookie of the Year. But I think we should spice it up a little bit and think of an additional award to start honoring this season and going forward. So, question here, what individual award should the SWBL start honoring this season, and who do you think is the favorite for said award? Let's start with the Expos.
So I came up with 3 awards that I think should be honored. Number 1 is the best barefoot player. I think there's probably only like full of players like me, Eggerstrom. I think Germer plays barefoot too, maybe. So that would be a good one because I could probably win that. Like I've never made it into the Hall of Fame, so I think I could possibly win that one. Second would be the best teammate / morale booster, which would go to John Leicht because he's always pumping our team up, whether it's through like a message or something like we got this year, guys. We're not.
No, I'm blushing.
And then third would be the GM of the Year award, which would probably go to me for signing Brett in the offseason.
Those are all solid.
He's not wrong. If we gave that award, he'd win it.
What I like to do is when I watch a lot of film in the off season, and if you watch the Expos and you watch Jimmy strike someone out, you're right after it happens, you're immediately drawn to left field because John Leicht is just fist pumping and running up and down and smacking asses and really excited. That's the kind of guy you need on your team.
I think, Pete, here's a hot take. Based off of the third award, best manager,
Oh, boy.
I think you need to get Brian Benware and Kevin Weetucker in a debate on who they think should win. Based off comments I've heard, I think that would be hilarious. Hot take.
Yeah, Benware brought that one up in our last podcast.
Benware is not going down without a fight for sure.
He did. That'd be great. Maybe that should be the entertainment for our Memorial Day weekend.
Just live stream a debate
Yep.
between those two. Get some podiums.
Yes.
I like that a lot. So let's talk. Let's move to the Yankees. What kind of awards do you guys come up with?
Oh, you go first.
Okay, I can just go really quick. Building off of Kevin's Best Teammate Award, I think there should be 2 awards for like people who embody the spirit of the league. One should be a player, like basically the best like spirit in the league, and that's most time at the field, most drinking, most like cheering, like best attitude, whatever. Last year, I'm going to give it to my boy Trent, probably from the D-backs, Trent Steffes. He didn't leave that spot behind home plate. I think there should also be an award just like that for the fans. I think, Pete, your parents brought the Bloody Mary table last year. Is that true?
They did when we played the Expos.
Give those 2 an award. Honor them at the ceremony. Bring them up. Let everyone cheer. Let's just get it going. Bring up the spirit. As much positivity as we can get.
Just name it the Light Award. The
Light Award. Name it the Light Award. I love it.
I think we should do that too, because maybe their parents and other fans in the league could get competitive, and then they'll start
competing.
Exactly. And the only people that benefit.
And then we all win. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Sam kind of stole mine as far as the Light Award. I think when I was thinking about this, I was like, there should be a Peter Leicht Award. And it kind of goes into what Sam first started talking about, the person who embodies the league. Like, I don't know one person week in and week out for the past however many years you want to look back that has been mad at Peter. Like, no one's ever been just like, Peter's such a jerk. Like, like no one has ever said that. And I think if you take a broader sense of
John definitely has.
that's a brother issue. You should play that role, especially being
John, Andrew, Annie, all of them.
But I think if you take a step nationally, like that's who we want to be. We want to be people that love our friends, love just being able to camaraderie. And I think Peter, year in and year out, you embody that, and you're one hell of a wiffle ball player. So there should be a Peter Leicht Award.
Just give me a minute. I'll respond. Oh man. Yeah. I have 3 on my list. Piggybacking off that, I thought a good title would be the Patriot Award. Someone who's kind of the passion. Shout out to Peace South. Might as well, since we're all here.
Yep.
Kind of the ideal teammate, kind of a courage and the right attitude.
The bench player always got that, though. I won it every year for soccer, so.
Oh, yeah. That's where I got the idea. There you go. Former recipient, senior year also. I really like Fan of the Year. I mean, I think that there's so many fans that come. We need to involve them. My third one's boring. I think it's just the batting title. I think we should formally recognize the highest average hitter
Absolutely
in that category. So
that's good.
Because it's so hard to hit for average, and it's so valuable too. That's a great idea.
Indeed.
That's a good point.
We'll move to our next segment here. We're going to make things a little lighter, but this next segment is called "If I Had $1 Million," sponsored by the Bare Naked Ladies. Again, I'm just going to repeat the title of the segment so everyone can kind of play along. But if I had $1 million.
If I had $1 million.
Thank you very much. And guys, I would like to know if you had $1 million and money was no concern to you. Obviously, you would donate at least 30%. I think we all know that. What major update would you give the SWBL field? Let's start with the Expos.
I mean, I think everybody would agree that it would be nice to flatten out the field and not have a downslope going in the outfield. Well, I don't feel like it would be the same not playing in the Skibby's backyard. But if there was any way we could ever flatten that out, I feel like that would be beneficial to everybody. And also, in honor of Blake Spencer, I want to put bells on first base so you can know if somebody beat the tag to first base.
That's critical. Good deal.
That's actually a great idea.
Yeah.
And how about the Yankees?
Sam, I'll take this one first. I think in light of everything that's going on in our country, I don't know what the upgrade would be, what the mechanics would be, the engineering that would have to take place to coronavirus-free the Skibby compound for a weekend where all of our fans can come. There's all the proper testing, all the proper precautions. Everyone's clean. Everyone can still do the same amount of day drinking. Everyone can still be in the pool. Everyone still can not worry about anything. Whatever that would be, if money was not an issue, I would do that. I would donate all that to that.
That's the right answer. Yeah, that's the right answer.
That's the right answer. Had a lot of heart. I'm thinking lazy river. Pool goes around the field. That might take more than $1 million, but if I had it, I'm putting in a lazy river.
Oh, that's amazing.
Catch Corona. I don't care as long as there's a lazy river.
That's amazing. There would be nothing better than to be in a lazy river while people are hitting dingers in your lazy river.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Get back.
Yeah.
Back with the wiffle ball. That's my heaven.
Oh, think about all the mini games too. Oh, it's good, Sam. I'm jealous that you came up with that. Yanks, baby.
You had heart. You had heart.
Those are some great answers. I mean, I definitely like flattening out the field, and I think you don't necessarily throw dirt in the outfield and try to flatten it out there, because I think you're going to have a huge wall and a huge drop in where we do some batting practice. I think we kind of push it down where the batter's boxes are. Kind of maybe you even kind of take a few stairs down into home plate. It's kind of looking down on the field. I think that trimming the trees in right field is a must. I think we could build some pretty sweet tree houses up there for the kids that want to watch. And then we need to pay people to keep stats. We need to pay people to pick up the trash. Maybe umpires, although, we pretty much survive without those. I just think of a lot of little things that could happen. And we might as well put a pool, lazy river. I like the pool. Maybe put another pool out in left, kind of for the splash zone, bleachers. I could go all day. I'm just really hoping. I mean, we've got, 50 to 200 players / alumni. One of us is going to be rich at some point, don't you think? I mean, I would assume this is going to happen. Well, thank you guys for. Yeah. Well, thanks for brainstorming that. We're going to go into our next topic, humble predictions. I would just like each team to predict what you think your regular season record is going to be. Like we've talked about, the division of death. There's going to be a lot of battles, and some teams are pretty high on themselves. Some teams are a little more modest. Let's try to see realistically where you think your team might finish, and we'll start with the Yanks.
Scott.
Man, I humbly think that there's a really good chance we drop at least one game to each one of these teams on here. I would like to say we finish 7-3, but 6-4 maybe. You know what? Every other year we're going 5-5. You know what I would take is if we get 6-4 and we make the playoffs. What we proved last year is if we can just get in, we can be a threat and we can win.
I was going to say 6-4. I agree. I think this division, we all beat each other up. I think two teams go 6-4. The third team, I don't know who it's going to be, is going to go 5-5, and they're going to be the ones to miss the boat. But the other two teams are going to be in. That's what I think. And I think the Yankees will be 6-4. I hope.
How about the Expos?
6-4. We're all going to go 6-4.
Pete.
We're all going to make the playoffs.
Part of being an Expo and embracing the Expo way is we take things one game at a time. The only matchup I know for sure is on our schedule, obviously prior to the decision yesterday to postpone the season, which I'm sure will change the schedule. But the only game that I knew for sure was on our schedule is the Rockies. We don't look ahead. We take this one game at a time. We got to build this wall brick by brick. So I'm not really in a position to answer that question. I think looking ahead in the schedule leads to lack of focus and sloppy play. Rockies are a good team. We don't want to overlook them. They certainly can beat us. We got them a couple years ago. That's the one game we're focused on right now. So, Pete, sorry, bro, I can't answer that question.
Hey, John, real quick, though, can you give us a little insight on hypothetical if Expos Rockies play first game of the year? Is there going to be any angst or rivalry going into that game, knowing that you guys nabbed Brett?
For me, for Kevin, for Jimmy, no, I don't know. For Brett, you'd have to ask him. I think so. I mean, you probably think so. I think everyone here thinks so. The rest of us, we've had a good rivalry with the Rockies for the last couple years. So it'll be another game against them. For Brett and Blake, yeah, I mean, I would think so. I would think they're going to really be wanting to get that one for sure.
I'd like to see that game late on Saturday because both of those teams know how to drink. And I think that
that's a good
entire day, feelings are mixed. I think it will be heated.
That's very true.
Hey, that's a good point, Sam. I'm glad you mentioned that because obviously Sam has to rejigger the schedule a little bit. The other thing he could possibly fix, and I'm glad that the Yankees mentioned it earlier. Hey, if you're watching this, we need a Bloody Mary game, Expos Brewers Sunday morning early. My parents will bring the vodka and the Bloody Marys. Don't mess this up a second time.
There you go. The light award, and John, I don't know if it's the politically correct answers or the headset, but I'm going to have to start calling you Coach Light at this point.
Coach Light.
No, you can't do that. It's Kevin's a coach, guys. Don't get it twisted here.
Another good answer.
I'm turning the reins over to you, Joe.
Yeah, no, it's a work issue,
You're asking me.
You can talk offline.
Talk offline. That's one of my favorites. Yeah, and if I'm answering the Brewers, 6-4, you guys stole my answer. I mean, I would happily take it, assuming that would get me into the wild card. I would love to stop playing in the wild card game. I think we've done it 3 years in a row, but I just don't have the confidence in the division makeup that we would even be 7-3 or 8-2. So 6-4 sounds pretty nice to me. So we're going to jump into our last segment here before we say goodbye. And this one's going to be making some predictions on some of the individual hardware that we'd be giving out at the end of the season. So when you talk Big Four awards, MVP, Cy Wiffle, Platinum Hands Rookie of the Year, just going to ask each of you kind of who do you think, what would be your lock? If you had to bet the mortgage on one of those, who would you pick to win and why? Maybe we'll start with the Yankees.
Sam, I'll start. This is what I submitted to the front office when, being a front office member. I will reveal my rankings, which ended up creating, the averages that created the pre-ranking for all these awards. I think Gus has a good shot at being MVP this year. When I just look at that division and the pitching that goes in and just who Gus is as a hitter, as a threat, I think he's got a great shot there. For my Cy Young, I put Jimmy Nelson. Jax, I love you, but I think Jimmy has a shot this year. I think with the heart and soul of what the Expos have kind of churning inside of them, I think it's only going to add fuel to the fire once he knows that Brett's right there behind him. Rookie of the Year, I don't know too much about the rookies. I know that there's going to be a lot of mix-up now that we switched weekends. I've already heard grumblings on who is going to be in there. So I will pause on my rookie of the year because we're not 100% sure on who's going to be in there right now.
Yeah, I think those are some good predictions. I don't think I could predict rookie of the year. What were you about to say?
My hands, I think Chris takes hands again this year. That was the last thing I forgot to mention, the golden hands.
Yeah. It's hard to predict anyone else for golden hands, honestly. I think Chris kind of has established himself as a LeBron James type who maybe for 8 years in a row should have won the MVP, but they had to give it to other people. They just couldn't keep giving it to the same guy. So I'll go Chris again. I hate to say it for the gold hands, but coming back, I touched on it earlier. I think Brett wins Cy Wiffle, so keeping it in the division. Like I said, chip on his shoulder, new team, wants to establish himself there, wants to lead them to the playoffs. I think he wins Cy Wiffle hands down. MVP, I'm looking at the stats right now. I don't think there's a compelling case for anyone besides Gus. I'll go Gus as the favorite and Paul Castellano as the dark horse. He's had his seasons. Last year, he was 4th in home runs. He just needs he needs everything to click, and I think his mind's in the right place this year. He's the dark horse. Rookie of the year, I don't know any of the rookies, so I'm going to have to pass on that too.
Yeah, rookies are tough, especially in this changing dynamic we're living in. How about let's go to the Expos?
Yeah, it's Brett Spencer MVP. I have so much confidence in that pick. That's not even funny.
Yeah.
He's one of the best pitchers. He is one of the best hitters, the best fielders, year in, year out. He has a chance to show that he can do all 3 of those things on a regular basis. He's going to come. He's going to mesh right in. He's going to fit right in, play real loose, have a lot of fun, and he's going to put us on his back. He really is. He's going to take us as far as he can. So I'm actually really confident in that one.
It's a good answer. And if I'm picking one, I mean, rookie of the year is going to be a toss-up. We don't even know who the rookies are going to be. Platinum Hands is, to me, it's a 50-50 shot between BK and Metter. I think some of those other awards, MVP could be a few guys. Cy Wiffle could be 3 or 4. I'll put my money on Chris Metter being hungry to kind of reclaim his dominance over BK, who's been kind of nibbling at his heels the past few years. So why not go with Chris? So that kind of wraps up our topics here today. We appreciate all you guys joining, but we'll just take a moment to kind of wrap it up, send it home. We've touched on a lot of topics. If there's any topics you think we haven't touched on, now's the time to kind of say your piece before we thank our main sponsor, Cardinal Blinds, and call it a night. So let's start with the Expos.
I mean, I don't think we've touched on it quite a bit, but I don't think we've touched on it enough about how serious this division and difficult this division is going to be this year. So I just want to keep pointing that out and let every other team know in every other division that it's going to be a battle this year.
That is true. And how about the Yankees?
I'll say this. Now that as a podcast member for a long time, and now that I have a chance to be on a Skype call with my fellow Expos brethren here, every year I am a hard knocks against the Expos, saying nope, they should be the last. I'll say this: with the recent signings that they have, with the heart and soul that I'm hearing, the Expos are going to be no joke this year. They are going to be surprising a lot of people. I think the league is, we have to see where the Astros end up and how the D-backs come with the Nationals with the schedule change. But before that, I really was saying that this was going to be the hardest year for Wiffle and the SWBL. I mean, I think the teams have evened out a lot, and I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be a grinder year for sure. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I want to say One quick thing, tracking back to the MVP thing, I forgot I wanted to say Blake Spencer emerging without Brett, having 4 men in the hitting rotation. I think that's going to be scary, his numbers this year. Moving on to one last thought for the league. Coming out of COVID, I mean, we've all been on house arrest. If this happens 4th of July weekend, this has potential to be the most fun, greatest, best weekend of all time. If everything comes together for the 4th of July, it's going to be amazing. Everybody get excited and pray that COVID goes away.
Yeah, no, I think if I think about 4th of July and that entire weekend, there's no place I'd rather be. I want the mental barriers that people have to kind of be resolved, and I want people to be able to jump in the pool and do the barbecue and
fireworks, man.
Bro hug. Like, I want people to be able to live their normal life. So, no, I'm looking forward to it. I think no matter when it happens, it will happen at some point. I think the front office will make sure that it does. And if we have to take Ed Lowe's advice and end up just doing it via Zoom with a virtual wiffle ball game, I mean, I guess that's what we got to do. But that'll be our last resort for sure.
Hey, do we have a reveal? Are we doing a reveal today?
For what?
Kevin, are we doing a reveal today or no?
Oh.
Can you hear me? You're asking me?
Yeah.
About what?
About your new unis?
Oh, yeah. You want to see the jersey?
Oh, yeah. You got too drunk and forgot, dude.
Let's go.
Gender reveal. The people want to know.
The people want to. Whoa. Tie-dye. Let's get it.
I like it.
Let's see the back. Let's see the numbers. You guys got numbers?
Oh, yeah. We got numbers.
Oh, no. I can't see Kevin.
John doesn't have numbers.
Did you tie-dye some sweatpants for John?
No, we probably could. Brett probably could for him.
So is that sponsored by Breck here?
Yeah, these are Breck X jerseys. I think they got some jerseys for the Brewers too, right?
Yeah, we got the white one up there. We got the same numbers as you guys in the back.
Yeah, we went with the tie-dye this year.
Nice.
Like that. Well, great. Guys, we really appreciate the time. I know our listeners out there have really enjoyed it, and hope you all stay well, and we'll be seeing each other before we know it.
Thanks, Pete.
Hey, I'll see you guys on the mound for pregame shotguns, all right?
Cheers.
See ya.
Now is the time for all good men to get together with one another.